What is going on, guys? Back with another video, another Discog ranking as we do here. This time Bjork, Icelandic, singer-songwriter. If you clicked on this, you know who Bjork is. So let's just hop right in. Coming in at number 9 is her 2007 record, Volta. I felt bad putting Volta at number 9 because this is pretty much where it ends up on every Bjork worst to best. But I just can't choose another album to put here. I really can't. It's crazy. Some of it pans out well, some of it doesn't pan out so well. Earth Intruders and Innocence are great songs. I think most of the brass sections are very good on this record. This is just the Bjork album that I return to the least, and cohesively it kind of feels like a mess. There's not really a flow on this like there is on her other records, so yeah. Coming in at number 8 is Medulla. This is probably Bjork's most daring record, as it only has voices as the instrumentals and beatboxing for almost the entire thing. So from a technical standpoint, this is an extremely admirable thing and maybe her best record from a technicality standpoint. But for enjoyment, I just don't really return to this record. I think this is the most controversial one in Bjork's discography because when I see fans talk about Medulla, it's either very negative or very positive. So I found that interesting, but compared to all her other records, Medulla, I just don't come back to it like I come back to these other ones. I need drums when I listen to music, and Medulla just doesn't have, the beatboxing doesn't do it for me. I need organic drums. So it's definitely not a bad record, and like I said, maybe even her best technically, but for me, it's just not my cup of tea. Coming in at number 7 is her latest record, Utopia, in which Arca handled all the production on this. And I think her production is extremely solid. I think conceptually, Bjork kind of nailed it this time. It sounds like a utopia where not everything is quite right. Like, if The Giver had a soundtrack, this album would be it. Because it's beautiful, but there's also an element of, is everything really a utopia here? I just get that vibe from this record. The ultimate highlight for me on this thing are the woodwind instrumentals. Pretty much every song that showcases a flute or another woodwind instrument I love. However, when the other songs don't showcase these instruments, I tend to zone out and lose interest in the record. So I wish every song just would have had these flutes and stuff, although I know you need variety in an album. From here on out though, after this record, I pretty much love the rest of these. So number 6 is Bjork's 2011 record, Biophilia. And I have to say that Biophilia is without a doubt a grower. I just didn't really enjoy this album when I first heard it. I wasn't really sure what Bjork was going for. It just sounded a little bland to me, but the more I paid attention to the lyrics, the more invested I got into the music, and I really like Biophilia now. There's a certain atmosphere to the album that just keeps you coming back to it. It feels like you're in a cave with all these like natural blue lights hanging from all the sides of it. In a way, this album kind of sounds like Vespertine's twin sister because of the bells that Bjork uses, although I know that might be a stretch. That's just how I feel about it. It's a very nature-oriented project, and Bjork really nailed the theme on this one as well. Number 5 is Vanakkura, which is Bjork's 2015 breakup or divorce album, whatever you would like to call it. And the first thing that stood out to me when I listened to this were the very lush, bright string sections. They are showcased perfectly on Stone Milker, the album's opener, and the album just gets progressively sadder. Like, Bjork was trying to make the album sound like a relationship slowly crumbling, and the sequencing of songs is almost perfect on this. The album starts off bittersweet, almost in a hopeful way, especially on Stone Milker, which I mentioned earlier, and it just gets progressively angrier and darker to the point where you just know there's no coming back to this relationship. Like, it's done. And you have to keep in mind that almost every song on this album stretches over 6 minutes, so for Bjork to keep it that consistent with that long of songs is certainly impressive. I wouldn't be surprised if this record climbs even higher in the rankings for me in the future, but it hasn't stood the test of time yet like these other albums because it's only been 6 years, so give it time, Vanakkura may jump its way up because I really do love this album. At number 4, I put Debut, Bjork's obvious debut record. This is one of her albums that I just enjoyed as soon as I heard it. It's so fun. It plays with elements of dance music, trip hop. It's a catchy record, I would even say. My favorites are Come to Me and Venus is a Boy, mostly because they showcase those trip hop elements the most compared to the other songs on here. It showed potential in Bjork, and it's the record that blew her up. It's just fun, it's beautiful, it's catchy. I have nothing negative to say about Debut. I wanted to rank it a little bit higher, but I just couldn't because she has even better albums on her sleeve. At number 3, I put her 1996 record Post, and Post came out the gates with an extremely different sound than Debut. It starts off with Army of Me, in which Bjork sounds confident but also angry. It has this insane trip hop beat, super intense for an album opener. And then this album has a fantastic 1-2 punch with the next song, Hyper Ballad, which is an extreme change of pace from Army of Me. This song showed how good of a songwriter Bjork was, and I love how the techno drums progressively get more intense as the song goes. Bjork said this song's about losing yourself in a relationship, which I thought was very interesting after I looked at the lyrics, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Another song on Post that I love is called Enjoy, which I don't see people talk about very often, and I'm not sure why. It kind of sounds like Army of Me's crazy drunk brother, as if Army of Me can get any more intense or exciting. Enjoy blew me away when I heard it. Those synths and drums are just crazy. But anyway, I feel like Post loses some of its momentum on the back half of the record, but the front half is so strong and so well put together that the first leg completely makes up for what the back half lacks. It's not like the back half's bad either, it just was not as insane or good as the first couple songs. So yeah, Post, great record. Moving on to number 2 though. Number 2, I put Homogenic, which is widely considered Bjork's masterpiece, and for very good reason. This album feels like it puts you in this cold, winter, icy castle in the middle of the night. It really does. Every song has this crazy intensity to it that feels like the fate of the universe depends on the actual track. The first 4 songs on Homogenic it might be the best stretch of songs in an album I've ever heard. From Hunter all the way to Bachelorette. It's just crazy insanity. The string sections on these are amazing, and that's probably why I love Vanakkura so much, because it took these same strings and changed them up a little bit, but they sound even better on Homogenic. Throughout the second half of the record, it sort of shifts away from those strings and starts experimenting with these glitchy drums and synths, which these are risks that only an artist like Bjork could have pulled off. It's just an amazing experience. Like, I can't even call Homogenic an album. It's just an experience, and I can't do it justice, so go listen to it. So after I talked so highly about that record, Bjork couldn't possibly outdo herself, right? Wrong! Because she released Vespertine, which is literally the album that came after Homogenic. So to release your 2 best albums back to back is just an amazing feat. If Homogenic is an experience, Vespertine is quite literally a magical trip. I can't think of many albums that have an atmosphere as interesting as Vespertine. Like, I can't even give you a description of the atmosphere because it's so distinct. From the romantic hidden place to the fight for love on pagan poetry, everything on this record is just perfect. The mixing is perfect, the instrumental's perfect, Bjork's vocals perfect. It's just very hard to not call this a perfect record. It has a beauty that many albums strive for, but just don't quite reach. So Vespertine, it's amazing. It's even better than Homogenic. If you love one of them, I'm sure you'll love the other one. So yeah, that's my ranking of Bjork's records. Thank you very much for watching. I'm thinking the next Discog ranking will be Pixies, but we'll see. So yeah, appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.